Welcome to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the power window motor on a Nissan Quest. So let's go ahead and get started. Now the first thing that we're going to have to do is we need to remove this door panel here so we can access everything. So what I'm going to do now is show you all the tools and parts that you're going to need to complete this, and then we're going to jump back in here and start taking this off so we can get to everything.
What you're going to need first, obviously, is your replacement window motor. And if you want to purchase them, you can get them automotive stores online and things like that. I'll put along the bottom where I got mine in case you want to buy it from the same place. Next thing that you're going to need is a Phillips screwdriver, but a large one. Next, you'll need a regular size Phillips screwdriver, then a flathead screwdriver. Next, you'll need a ratchet, and with that, you'll need two sockets, an 8mm and a 10mm socket, and that's what you'll need to complete this.
So if we come along here on the door, first of all, you're going to see there's a little plastic Phillips screw right here. See if I can get a close-up of it. Right there. You want to be careful with those. They can break easy, but that's your first one. Then if we come along here and we open this latch, you have this little panel right here. That panel pops off. There's a Phillips screw behind that. That's the one that requires the larger Phillips screwdriver. And then if we come along here, right down in here, this little panel is going to pop up, and then you have another screw under there. Now the rest of the door is just held on with clips, and once we get those screws off, I'll show you how we kind of pull that up off those clips, and then we can remove it. Gently remove this plastic clip. Pull that out. Okay. Next, we're going to pull this handle back to access that tab. Take your flathead screwdriver, slide it right in here, and gently just pull that out. You don't want it to break, so just pop it out like that. Take your other hand, get a hold of it, pull that out, and inside here, I'm going to show you, is a Phillips screw. And as you can see, that takes the larger Phillips screwdriver because the pattern is wider. So let's get our larger Phillips screwdriver and we can remove that. Okay, slide it right in here. Here it is. Put that in a safe spot. Next, we have to remove this little panel, so we'll take our flathead screwdriver again, slide it down in here. You have two little tabs. If you just lift it, pops that up, and there's one regular size Phillips screw in there that we'll remove. Now that's it for the screws. We removed the one in the handle, the one behind the latch, and then the little plastic kind of clip type screw. So that's all the screws that come off here. So now we're ready to raise this, and then once we do, I'll show you the harnesses because you don't want to put stress on it at that point. You still need to disconnect the harnesses before the panel itself comes off completely. Now that all of this is off, what we're going to do is just pull the door out to release the clips. So we'll just grab it along the edge here and pull it. You can hear that. Came off there. You should have another one here. There we go. You want to take your time because you don't want to break these clips. There's one up top here. Give it a nice pull. And then with this one, you want to pull and lift up. There we go. And now, our door panel is now off. But if we look down here and I'll get a close-up, you'll see the harnesses that have to be disconnected next. So pulling the doorway, you can see we have these cables here. They go to the actual door latch. There's 4 Phillips screws in here that I'd recommend removing that. That makes it a lot easier. And then if we look further down, I'll show you the other harnesses for the window motor. And then you have your speaker, and then you have your little control panel here. Here's the harness for your window motor. If we come further here, I'll show you underneath. You can see these screws. You have one there, one up top right here. Then you have one there and one down here at the bottom. Those 4 hold the handle in place. Another thing you could do is you could remove the actual cables here from the latch, but that's tricky. I'd rather just undo the 4 screws and pop that out. Then you'll see there's another harness all the way down here. You can get underneath and disconnect them from the panel, but I'll show you right from the door panel itself on the outside. We can pop that off and get to them right there, which makes it a lot easier. And then coming along here, this is for your speaker. If you were to be, removing that, you can pop that off right here. And then you have down there, that goes to your fuel door access, which is here on the outside, down there. So it's easier if you remove this panel here to get to all the harnesses behind these switches. So what I'll do is I'll just set the door up so we have a little stability, give a good pull on it. That pops up. That pops up. And here's all of your connections here on the back. So you can just pop them off here instead of trying to get them from inside the door. So to remove those, I'll get a close up. So on these clips, you have a little tab in here, which is kind of like any of these harnesses. If you push that in, give a pull, this should come right out. And while you're pushing it, you want to be pulling it. That's one. Same kind of clip on this end here. And I'll show you the little push button. It's this little tab right here, and you'll see if I push it, you'll see it move a little bit. So what you want to do is push it all the way in, and then while it's in, and that's it. And now with these removed, we can take this control panel, put that off to the side, and now we can tuck these harnesses back in here, so that way now the door is not putting any stress on that. So let's just unscrew this handle piece, and then we should be able to get the rest of it. So coming here on the back, it's a little bit tight, but you can take your screwdriver in, like I have here, and undo these screws. I'm going to go ahead and remove the 4 screws here on the back, and then we'll be back to remove the handle. All 4 screws have been removed, so we can pop that through. And then now this door can come completely away. There's still actually one extra harness I forgot to mention. There's a light down at the bottom of the door. I'll get a close-up. We need to disconnect that. And then we need to just disconnect this one going to the fuel door. And then this panel's off. All right, so this is the fuel door connection here. And let's see if I can get a shot of it here. Just like the other harnesses, it's got a little tab on the bottom that you push up. And then it should come right out. This one can be in a little bit tight. There we go. Let's head down and I'll show you if we can see it from here. See that wire all the way down there? That goes down to that bottom light on the door. And here it is right here. Here on the very bottom of the door, you have this light, and that harness connects to that. So let's head around the back so we can disconnect it. And we can see it right here. That one can be a little bit tricky. Sometimes you can just take the bulb itself, or I'm sorry, not the bulb, but the light itself, and just pop out that assembly. That can be easier. But I'm going to see if we can pull that out. Same kind of tab as we've been dealing with already. It has a little button, and then we pull it out. So let's see what we can do. Having a hard time getting it, so what I'm going to do, there's a couple clips. Push here on the inside, and we'll see this pops forward. We can pull it out and then just slide it back in. All right. And now the door panel comes off. Now with the door panel off, the next thing we need to do is we need to remove this bracket for the speaker, so that way we have access to get back in there. Your motor is actually held right in this area here. This is the harness for it. So what we're going to do here is open this up so we can get access on both sides to undo the bolts that are holding the motor in place. That way we can remove it, undo the harness, pull it out, put the new one in. So let me get a close-up. I'll show you the screws. There's 3 Phillips screws, but we're going to need the large Phillips screwdriver, so take a look. We have one here on the left, one here slightly off at like a 1 o'clock position on top, and then you've got one down here on the bottom. So once we take those three off, then we can pop this out. We're going to go ahead and disconnect this so I can get the speaker out of the way. So let's get this harness off first. Take our large screwdriver here. Now with the speaker out, we have full access. If we come here on this side, you can see here what we're looking at. Tucked on the far right of that frame is the motor. On this side here, this is the cable that's part of the regulator that when the motor turns it, it raises and lowers the window, but the motor is back here. So you have three 8mm bolts that need to be removed, one on this side, then there's one tucked back here, and one up top that I can't see. See if I can show them. I don't think I can get in there, but anyway, you have them back in there. So we're going to have to get to them from this side and also from this side accessing. And here it can be a little bit tight. What I'd recommend doing is you have right here, you have a 10mm nut here, and you have a 10mm nut here. Those hold kind of the track in place for the regulator behind there. You don't want to take them off completely, but what I like to do is you can loosen this one pretty much all the way and the top one a little bit. That'll give you a little bit of room to push back so you can get to the motor, which is tucked all the way back in here. Now let me say, if you have a power window motor that goes and the window is in the up position, as we have here, that's easy. You can get to everything in here, do what you need to do. Unfortunately, if you've got the window stuck in a down position, which I've dealt with before, especially with this vehicle, you can't get in here because the glass panel, everything is here. So what I'd recommend is if you have a little hole saw, you can make a little access panel here that'll put you right in line with that bolt that holds the window in place on this side. On this side, you can get to it here through this opening where the speaker is. But you may have to give yourself a little access panel. That way you can get a ratchet in there to release those and then slide everything out of the way so you can get to it. So unfortunately, if your window's in a down position, you have a little more of a challenge. If it's up like we have here, then it's a lot easier. I'm going to start by removing the pulley system from the back of that panel, and then we'll come loosen that bracket as I mentioned, and then we can get to the motor and pull that out, and then the harness to the motor is up top. We'll disconnect that at that point. But I'm going to go here. We're going to connect in. Reach around here. Here's the last screw here holding on this. Now you got to be careful because as you pull this off of the motor, and this right here is the pulley system, the glass can drop a little bit. So you want to be careful. And I'll show you, this one's already coming down a little bit. So you may sometimes want to prop something in there so it doesn't drop all the way. But now that that's off, we can get to the motor. And you can see it right here, how it's dropped a little bit. I don't know if it's going to come down anymore. Actually, it could still. Got to be careful with that. So might want to put something there to prop it so it doesn't fall and break. Slide this out of the way so you can see what I'm going to do. So we have this 10mm here. And that's what's holding the motor in place now. The other three screws or bolts were connecting into the pulley system, but going through that bracket that was holding it in place. Then this one's here on the outer. Pull that out, and then we're just going to loosen this. That'll just kind of give us just a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch, but that means a lot in this tight fit right here. Like I said, you don't want to take it off completely, so I just take the nut all the way to the edge, loosen this one just a little bit. That gives me enough space right in here. Let me slide this out of the way. And then now we can grab the motor, push it back. And before I pull it out, let me get a close-up behind there so you can see where I'm sliding it around. Here's the motor. Here's that bracket. So if you push it towards the opening, so away from the speaker, you can see here it slides back. We can come on this side. Let's see. Pull it through. And just to show you again what we're dealing with in here, you can see the bracket where it was mounted. Next thing I'm going to do, we're going to take the pulley, but there's a little clip right here. Get this out of the way. Little clip right here, you're going to pull that out. Set the motor here. Take the clip, push the little tab in. Pull that off. Here's our old motor. We can get the new one, swap it out. There we are. This is our old one. This is our new one. You can see it's the exact same thing. So let's go ahead and put that in place. Then we'll connect a pulley to the back of it, tighten everything up, and put the door assembly back on. Now the motor goes through on this side. Then the harness will wrap around and plug in here. So what I'll do is slide it in. We still have that, you can see right here the bracket. Actually, it's more like maybe 1/4 of an inch that we got out of the deal. But we'll slide it in, push that bracket all the way back so we can slide it, get it into position. Make sure we get it locked up in there. Okay. And then we need to make sure that the holes line up properly because this one needs to connect, but then you need to make sure that the 3 that are on this bracket or this assembly line up on the other side of the bracket as well. So I'm going to go ahead and make those connections and then we'll connect everything. Once you get the motor in place, it's not a bad idea to just hand tighten the bolt, the outer bolt, so that way you can still move the motor around to line everything up, but at least it's held in place so it doesn't fall out. And I'll show you here from this side, this is what you're looking at. So you have this part of the motor here, but when it's in place, it should be tucked just above the speaker.
You'll notice here on the motor itself, you have this stud that's kind of squared off. You want to make sure that that lines up perfectly with the receiving end on the pulley system, which is also a square. So that way it slides right into that shape and locks in. If you don't match it up perfect, try to screw it in, you're going to have problems. So make sure you line that up perfectly before you start attaching everything.
Just to show you how it goes, you have that frame, which, see if I can get back here, this piece here. That's part of the, where the regulator and all attaches to. This pulley part right here kind of tucks underneath on one side, comes out on the other. So on this side here, it looks like it's above it. And then that's the hole where the screw would feed through. But I'll get a shot of the other side. So you kind of have to tuck part of it under and then the other one pops out. So on this side here, you can see the plastic here from that frame meeting the motor, and then that bracket is on the other side of it. But you can see where it's kind of bumped in right here to meet it, and then it pops out on the other side, so the pulley can then be on the other side of it. And here's a better shot. You can see now on this side, it pops out. There's like a notched out area where that comes through. So if you're looking from this side, it looks like it's ahead of the bracket, but it's actually not. It tucks behind it on the other side. So then the screw here on this side goes through to the motor. On the other side, the other two, they go through that bracket and then to the motor to kind of hold everything in place. All right. The last one tightened. I'm going to go around and show you where the other ones were since I couldn't get the camera in there. Coming up from that one we just tightened, you can see the one up top. And then if we go to the other side, we'll see the other one. There's the other one right there. Those are the 3. So if I pull back here, we're coming right out of that speaker opening. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to take the harness, connect that. Then we're going to go ahead and tighten up this 10 millimeter that holds the motor in place. We had that loose up until this point, that way we had some flexibility. So we'll tighten that all the way down, good. And then don't forget to tighten the two 10 millimeter nuts on that bracket that we loosened as well. Get all that tightened up. What I'm going to do, we're just going to temporarily just kind of plug this harness in, turn the power on the vehicle, just to make sure that everything's good, because what you don't want to do, you don't want to go ahead and seal it all up and then do it in case there's an issue, because sometimes if things aren't put on properly, you have that little piece of the regulator frame. If things aren't on the right side and bolted properly, it can be slightly out of whack and be rubbing. So it's best to test all this while you still have it open. So let's see here. Wrong window. Nice. Beautiful. Nice and smooth, not hitting anything. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go ahead and put everything back. I'm not going to go step by step because we covered all that when we were taking the door panel off. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it all together, and then we'll be back once everything is assembled to wrap this up. Put the speaker back, tighten those 3 Phillips screws, and then don't forget to reattach the harness. Now that we have the door panel back on, and I'll show you what I did. I screwed the handle piece. All 4 Phillips screws have been reattached. So the next thing that we're going to do is I need to feed those harnesses through that go to the control panel. And then we need to also connect the fuel door lever down there. So what I'm going to do, we'll grab these, pull them through so they're on this side. And now let's see if I can reach down there. Grab this guy here, and we're going to go ahead and put that in. Lock it in place, so that's on now. So I've got it in place. I'm going to go ahead and clip everything in, and then we'll come back, screw it in, put this panel in, connect this, and then we'll pop the light in here at the end. So now with it resting on this windowsill, we can come around and just push all the clips in. Just kind of work your way around it. Get them all locked. That's good. Nice. So we'll get this now, and we're going to plug the harnesses back in. We have the harness here which controls the mirrors. That one goes in first. Next we'll get this harness that controls the windows. Slide that in until it clicks. And now we can lower this in place. Once you get it lined up, you should hear it click. Let's see, make sure everything is good. There we go. Good. That's in place. Now we can go ahead and put the Phillips screw here, the 1 Phillips screw here, the plastic screw will feed the light in, and we're done. Once that's done, you can take the little panel. That clicks down in place. That's good. Next, we'll put this one in. Tighten it all the way. Good. Then we'll take this little clip, slides right here, push it in and lock it. We're good with that one. And don't forget to put this one in as well, but do it gently. You don't want to break it. Lastly, we're going to go ahead and tuck this light back in. Unless, of course, you undid the harness, then you would just reconnect it. But in this case, since I popped it out, we're going to take these tabs, line it up, and then just click it back in. Everything is reconnected. Everything is good to go. Let's go ahead and try it and see how it works. Nice. Try one more time here, going up. It's good. Okay. Well, that wraps up this video on how to replace the power window motor on a Nissan Quest. I hope that this video was informative for you. I hope it helped you out with any projects you're working on. If you have any other work that needs to be done on your Nissan Quest, please check out down in the description of this video. I'll have links to other videos that I've done pertaining to this vehicle. As always, I appreciate all the support. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.